You're someone with a vision for your practice, for your side hustle, and for your personal journey. But when it comes to establishing your path on how to get to where you want to be with your practice, things get a little messy. You're also someone who'd prefer to go in person instead of to groups and listening to everyone else's story. To me, it sounds like you could benefit from one on one consulting with our experienced practice of the practice consultants. From $5.95 a month and up, you can work with a consultant that will give you more direction and practical, tried and tested tips matched to you and your goals. For more information, visit practiceofthepractice.com/apply. Again, that's practiceofthepractice.com/apply. This is the Practice of the Practice podcast with Joe Sanok, session number 977. I'm Joe Sanok, your host, and welcome to the Practice of the Practice podcast. I hope you are doing awesome today. Every single week, we are talking with you 3 times a week about how to start, grow, and scale your private practice, but not just in any way. We want you to have a thriving practice you absolutely love. We want you to thrive in the sense that you can make ends meet, you can pay yourself well, you can assist your community, but that you absolutely love it, that you show up and you're like, I love this. On June 5th, we have a very special episode planned for you. It's going to be way different than most of our episodes. Really excited for that. Many of you have contributed to that, so we're very excited for that. That's just around the corner. Again, on June 5th, you're not going to want to miss that. We are getting so close to our goal of 1,000 reviews by our 1,000th episode. So if you've listened to even one episode, would you give one review? Would love to have that. We really are confident that we're going to hit that 1,000 reviews by our 1,000th episode. So open up that podcast player and put in a review. We rarely ask you to do that, but we decided that would be a fun thing to do to see if we can get to 1,000 reviews by our 1,000th episode. So I am so excited to chat with our guest today, Sara Baker. Sara Baker, known as @Sara Ashley Coaching, is a leading figure in holistic wellness and coaching, seamlessly integrating therapy, coaching, and entrepreneurship. As the founder and clinical director of SABI Pathways Holistic Wellness, Sara has pioneered transformative approaches to therapy, evolving from a solo practice to a telehealth group practice in 2020. Her innovative breakthrough therapy method combines evidence-based practices with integrative techniques, earning acclaim for its effectiveness in healing mind, body, and spirit. Sara, welcome to the Practice of the Practice podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I am so excited to have you here today. I would love for you to just start with when did you get into the idea of a holistic therapy practice? Like, was that something that was always a part of your story, or did that emerge a little bit later?
Yeah, I would say it was always kind of a part of my story. Even when I was just training to become a therapist and going through my hours, I always had a liking to more of a holistic approach. I was traveling a lot, really on my spiritual journey and interested in a lot of different healing modalities. So, really early on, I became really curious about this, interested in it. And I started to see some amazing personal benefits for myself by, doing a lot of this holistic work and then also integrating traditional therapy. So really early on even when I was getting my hours, I always integrated more of a holistic approach to what I was doing. And then as I branched out into creating my own private practice, that was my niche. That was what I felt really passionate about bringing to the table. So as a solopreneur starting that private practice, my niche was really a holistic approach to therapy. And I focused on bringing in some different modalities like meditation and breath work and sound healing and yoga and different things that I could bring into the therapy sessions that would also be super beneficial alongside the other amazing work that we were doing. So it really started to move quickly. When I created this private practice, there was a big interest in a holistic approach to therapy. Whether clients had known about more holistic modalities or it was their first time hearing about it, they were really interested. So my private practice grew quickly. And I would even say within 6 months, I was totally full. I had a a strong wait list. And basically, at that time, I made the decision to open the group model. I had the choice of either, continuing to refer these clients out or to bring together more like minded individuals who also had a passion for a holistic approach to therapy. And so that's when I decided to start the group practice model and bring in more clinicians who shared this vision of integrating traditional therapy with a holistic approach, helping to empower more people on their path. Yeah.
Wow, so cool. And you know, I think a lot of times people say, "Well, why should I pick a niche? Why should I pick a area of specialty?" For you, how did you sort through focusing on building a holistic practice? And let's just start with like, what did that do for you personally in regards to enjoying the practice and
Mm.
having it represent who you are? Maybe dig into like how you define a holistic practice. Yeah, like all of that.
Yeah, yeah. It was really important for me in the beginning that, when creating a practice and creating my own business, that it was really authentic to me. I wanted to create something that, yes, was going to bring me more wealth and more freedom, and also really represented who I was from my core. So, in determining what my niche was, I really looked into, okay, what am I passionate about? What's important to me about therapy? What's important to how I show up, how I do therapy, and how I create an environment for healing. And so I really looked at my inner world and what I valued in a therapy practice and what I believed was going to bring the most healing, the most transformation to my clients, and also the things that were going to keep me excited and connected to therapy in my practice. And that was absolutely bringing a more holistic approach to the therapy room. To me, what a holistic approach means is working with people on all of the four bodies. So in my model of the world, there's four bodies to be working on when it comes to healing. That's your spiritual body, your mental body, your emotional body, and your physical body. And so as I built this practice, I was always thinking about modalities that were going to help nourish these four areas. How could I help to encourage more spiritual health and what that meant to the client? Right? How could I encourage more mental health and getting my clients' beliefs to be more aligned with what they want and who they truly are? And how could I help them get involved in experiences that would elevate their emotions, teach them how to intentionally elevate into a more positive place? And then how could I also help them to focus on their physical body and create habits and routines and experiences in their life that help them to feel healthy in their physical body as well? And when doing all of this in combination with being in a therapeutic room, it just really helped them to just expand on so many different levels. So me, it really is about, mind, body, spirit, and it's about, helping people to find the truest parts of themselves and get into a whole health experience, right? And so for me, this really helped me to ignite my passions by being able to focus on different modalities that I believe to be truly transformational and healing and really were important to me and got me excited and kept me interested and dedicated and devoted to these healing practices in the therapy room. Yeah.
Mm, so awesome. Now, when you think about just the setup of a holistic therapy practice, what were some of the things that were things you focused on as you set it up? And then how did you make sure that information and vision was transmitted to the people that you hired? Because, it's one thing to have a owner or, lead clinician that has a vision for it. It's something completely different to get other people on board to make sure kind of the DNA is set from the beginning as to like who we are.
Mhm.
So like what were some of those initial setup things and then how did you make sure that that DNA was passed on to other people in the practice?
Yeah, I love that. So, one of the first things I defined for myself were the values of the company, right? And I really thought about again, like what was most important to me about this company, what was most important for me to have trickle down energetically to the other clinicians who are part of the practice. And so as I thought about those things, some of the things that came to mind were absolutely empowerment. It was having this holistic approach, integrity, having purpose, and having a sense for community. So these were some really big values for me in the beginning. And so as I started to build the practice and transition into the group model, I really started to work this in from the beginning. when I was hiring and when I was putting out posts to bring in more therapists to the teams, I was really, really specific in my languaging around who I wanted to attract. I talked about different holistic modalities that I was looking for. I talked about the kind of energy that I wanted for the therapist to join my team. And so right from the beginning, like right when they got a first impression of our practice, they knew what we were about. They knew about our values and they knew about the vision and some of the expectations of having a more holistic approach to therapy. So right away, this was set as kind of, this is what this practice is going to be about. And then as they started to onboard with me, and this, I've refined and redefined over the years and gotten really, really clear at the place I am now. And now in the hiring process, they look at the job postings, they know what we're about, they can feel our energy. And then as they go through the hiring process, each step of the way, we're reiterating our focus on holistic practices. We're asking them questions about, what it means to them to be a holistic practitioner. And we're really focused on getting to know their values and what's important to them and getting to know who they are as a clinician to make sure they are a really good fit energetically for our team. And so this whole hiring process really helps to lay the groundwork for what our practice is going to be like and what we're expecting in a clinician. I get a really good feel for their energy. And then as they join the practice, once they're onboarded and once we know that, they are on board with everything that we're about and they share a similar vision and they're joining our practice, these values and this vision is continued to be talked about every step of the way. And it's also integrated into how we build community as a practice. So, we talk about the expectations in terms of them bringing a more holistic approach to the therapy room with their clients. And this gives them creative freedom. This gives them creative freedom to show up authentically as themselves, to bring their own unique holistic vision to therapy and to really empower clients in the way that feels best for them. So even though they're a part of my practice and they're joining it, I'm really empowering them to be the best clinician that they can be through their own unique holistic approach to therapy. And then alongside that, the way that I build culture within the group practice, about at least once a quarter, we'll come together for a community gathering where I teach them holistic practices. I take them through meditations and breath work, sometimes for a full moon or a new moon. We come together as a community and we get involved in some of these holistic modalities ourselves. And alongside taking them through these experiences, I also place a really big emphasis on them creating a work-life balance, on them creating more of this harmony inside themselves and really, taking their clients as far as they take themselves. So I also have experiences for them where I teach them about personal growth and professional growth. We have different trainings that we do. And I also have some things coming up in the future where I'm going to be teaching them about more specific holistic modalities that I do, focused on NLP and hypnosis and a practice called mental and emotional release. And on top of that, I also, right when they're onboarded, I give them the option to attend a personal development training called NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming that we pay for, because it's really, really important for me that I have clinicians who are focused on their own personal growth and they're focused on their healing and their growing, because it's a trickle down effect in the therapy room. So I would say the whole practice is kind of built around the holistic niche for the clinicians, for the clients, for just the entire thing. Yeah.
Hmm. As a therapist, I can tell you from experience that having the right EHR is an absolute lifeline. I recommend using therapy notes. They make billing, scheduling, note taking, telehealth, and e prescribe incredibly easy. Best of all, they offer live telephone support that's available 7 days a week. You don't have to take my word for it. Do your own research and see for yourself. Therapy Notes is the #1 highest rated EHR system available today, with a 4.9 out of 5 stars on trustpilot.com and on Google. All you have to do is click the link below or type promo code Joe on their website over at therapynotes.com and receive a special 2-month trial absolutely free. Again, that's therapynotes.com and use promo code Joe on the website. If you're coming from another EHR, Therapy Notes will also import your demographic data quick and easy at no cost, so you can get started right away. Trust me, don't waste any more of your time and try Therapy Notes. Just use promo code Joe at checkout. Now, I know anytime that you have a vision for building a company, sometimes you have missteps that you later realize, oh, like it seems pretty obvious, but like I really could have done that better. What missteps did you have in setting up this practice?
Hmm. I would say even in the beginning, more in the beginning, I maybe had a little bit of a lack of boundaries. Sometimes with the clinicians that I was bringing on, because I wanted to grow, I wanted to scale, I wanted to, get the practice moving really quickly. And so sometimes I would bring on clinicians who maybe weren't the best fit for our practice. They were good clinicians in general, and they just had a different style of doing things, didn't fully align with our values or our boundaries or our vision. And so sometimes I would bring on people in the beginning more for the purpose of growing rather than being in integrity with what we were really about. So I think as I refined the hiring practice and I also worked on my mindset personally and believing that there were therapists and individuals who could fully align with our values and our vision and be committed, loyal therapists, that helped to call in more of the therapists who are going to be with us long term and help us to grow and share this vision. So definitely a lack
Mm,
of my boundaries in the beginning. And I would even say, that being due to at times not fully understanding what was important to me, like what I did value in a clinician or what my practice values were. Right. Sometimes letting that kind of go by the wayside and not paying attention to them. So that was a big misstep in the beginning of really just wanting to grow and sometimes rush a little bit in that growth without being fully in integrity with my values as I was hiring or as I was communicating to therapists and as I was building and growing. So I'd say, yeah, that was a big one for me in the beginning. And I mean, lots of stuff along the way. It's been a growth process. I've had this practice it's been open for about 4 years now. I've learned so much along the way and refined so many different things. And it's really been a personal growth journey for me alongside this big professional growth venture.
mm. Now, I would love, on the individual side, if there's people that are listening, maybe they have a solo practice or group practice. I recognize that when you have a holistic therapeutic practice, there's a lot of different things you can draw from that make that holistic. Um, are there things that you would say are essential mindsets for someone that, whether they're in solo or group, that would make a holistic practice? And then maybe sort of like electives, kind of like in college where you have your core classes and then electives. Are there ways of thinking that you would say you would think are kind of standard for a holistic based practice, and then things that are maybe more optional?
Yeah, I would say in terms of the mindset, it's really focusing on treating the whole person, right? It's not just about the mindset, right? There's so much research that's been done on the mind body connection. So it's really being good with that the mind communicates to the body and the body communicates to the mind. And so yes, while you're focusing on the thoughts and the words that are coming out, also focusing on what's going on in the body, how things are manifesting physically, focusing on body language, and really helping people to, yes, nourish their mind and encourage them to, nourish their body and create a good physical relationship with themselves as well. And then alongside that, really having an openness to spirituality. And in my belief system, there are many different paths to exploring spirituality. And the therapists on my team, they're helping clients to explore what that means for them. There's not a one size fits all. And so it's really about having this openness to helping people explore spirituality without impressing specific values or a specific way of thinking or believing. It's helping them to explore and essentially gain a greater connection to themselves and what's possible and, just some of the energies of what's going on within this world. So I would say, yeah, definitely just being open to helping people explore their mind, body, spirit, is an essential piece, right? Where we're focusing on at least those three things. And then in terms of an elective mindset, it's really, having a skill set in some of these different modalities that help them to explore their mind, body, spirit. A lot of our therapists are trained in EMDR and, and DBT and lots of things that include mindfulness, which is amazing. And then I have therapists who, go a little bit above and beyond in terms of what they're interested in a holistic vision. They have certifications in breath work, in Reiki, even sometimes where they're doing energy healing work with the clients. They're open to exploring new modalities and integrative experiences with their clients. And so they're always kind of focused on growth and how they can be creative in these sessions as well. So it's always a focus on the mind, body, spirit, and helping to explore all of those parts of themselves. And then the elective piece is how they do that. Which techniques are they specifically drawn to? Is it more breath work? Is it somatic healing? Is it, bringing in more energy healing? Is it more art therapy? It's really, up to the clinicians to bring in their creative vision when it comes to how they explore the mind, body, spirit with their clients.
Mm. Now,
Yeah.
Sarah, for you personally, what types of things do you pepper into your life outside of running a practice? I'm a big fan of not just talking about our business, but our life outside of business. What are some of your habits that for you keep you holistic?
I love that because my whole life, I would say, is holistic. One of the biggest things for me is my meditation practice. So that's something that's a non-negotiable for me. Every morning I'm sitting and I'm doing meditation. I'm doing meditative work. Sometimes it's just breathing and connecting with myself. Sometimes it's more focused practices. So there's something that I love to do is breath work. Breath work and cold plunges are just like some of the things that take me to a whole nother elevated emotional state. And I teach breath work, I do breath work workshops, and I love to do it myself. I always feel so good, so empowered, like energized. And then to top that off with a cold plunge afterwards, it's just like, I'm just like on this whole nother level of excitement and positivity. Those are really, really
And
huge.
there's a group of guys here that all have elementary students that they do cold plunges several times a week here in northern Michigan, and they just go in, they sit there. I think they read something about like 17 minutes a week is like kind of the sweet spot of cold plunge time. So they try to do it like a total of 17 minutes a week, and I have yet to join them, but maybe that's coming.
Yeah, it's so beneficial, and so I'm always telling my clients, even if they don't have a cold plunge, like take a cold shower. It does something to energize you and just like automatically shifts you out of these old styles of thinkings and gets you into just a more positive, open mindset. And if you do that in combination with breath work, specifically some, empowering breath work where you're receiving empowered messages during it, you're just going to feel ready to take on the world after get your mindset right, and then your body is energized, and just the cold plunge also helps you to release all these happy chemicals inside of you, like more dopamine and norepinephrine and all these different things that make you feel good. So I love, love, love these
Mm.
practices for myself. I'm a big fan of the sauna. I love to go to the gym and reward myself with the sauna. I'm a big fan. Traveling is one of the for me one of the ways that I've got to expand my spiritual horizons as well. And so when I travel, I my mind just opens up to possibility and different cultures and different experiences. And I often host retreats around the world and help people to experience some of these just different cultures of spirituality as well. I take a group usually once a year. We go down to Mexico for a business retreat, and part of that experience, they get to go through what's called a temazcal ceremony, which is this ancient Mexican sweat lodge ceremony that really helps to connect with the earth and clear out energies spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And so traveling is a big part of it for me too. And yoga, just so many different things that are just have become part of my lifestyle now, just part of who I am.
Mm. So awesome. So the last question I always ask is, if every private practitioner in the world were listening right now, what would you want them to know?
I would want them to know that, whatever vision they have is possible. That if they have fears around charging what they're worth, or they have fears around being authentic in the way that they want to do therapy, or if they have fears about being able to be successful or make it on their own, it's possible. And when you invest your time and your energy and your finances in mentorship, in your own personal growth, and surrounding yourself with empowered communities and thought leaders, like, you can absolutely get to where you want to go. And just because you feel a certain way right now, or you aren't at the level of success you want to be yet, doesn't mean that you're not going to get there. There's things that you can do to clear up your mindset, to get to the root of old blockages and release it so that you can be totally focused on your inevitable success. And once you do that, it's not a matter of if, it's just when you reach your goals. So whatever
Mm.
you want to do is absolutely possible. And the support's out there for you.
And Sarah, if people want to connect with you, connect with your work, where should we send them?
Yeah, so if you want to connect with me personally, the best place to do that is through Instagram, and that's at Sara Ashley Coaching. It's Sara Ashley Coaching. You can also find my website, saraashleycoaching.com. This is for all of my business and personal growth and mindset work that I do. And then if you're interested in the therapy practice that I have, whether you know someone who wants therapy or you're a clinician who wants to be part of a holistic group practice, you can find out more about us at www.sabipathways.com. That's SAB as in boy, pathways.com. And we have all of the different resources for clients, clinicians, anyone who wants to be a part of this holistic empowered movement with us.
Mm. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for being on the Practice of the Practice podcast.
Thank you for having me. Grateful to be here.
We are trying our darndest to get 1,000 reviews by our 1,000th episode. So if you've been listening to this show for one episode or for 1,000 episodes, would love for you to go do a review. We don't ask you this very often, but it's one of the best ways to get in front of a new audience, to have other people know that we are doing good work here. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. Our sponsor today is Therapy Notes. They are the best electronic health records out there. I actually just today had 2 different people that switched over to Therapy Notes, and their billing is getting cleaned up. They are able to back bill some things. They helped with that whole transition over. This mega group practice switched over, another smaller group practice. So head on over to therapynotes.com, use promo code Joe at checkout to get a couple months for free. If for some reason you can't find where that promo code is, drop me an email and we'll make sure that you get that. Thank you so much for letting me into your ears and into your brain. Have an amazing day. I'll talk with you soon. Special thanks to the band Silence is Sexy for that intro music, and this podcast is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information in regard to the subject matter covered. It is given with the understanding that neither the host, the producers, the publishers, or guests are rendering legal, accounting, clinical, or other professional information. If you want a professional, you should find one.